419 with Gretchen DeBacker, Matt Killam, and Kevin Mullen.
Welcome back to another edition of the 419. My name is Matt Killam.
I'm John Jones.
Gretchen DeBacker.
For those of you who are not attuned to our last episodes, Kevin is out. He is getting what I would describe as corrective surgery, and we're really hoping this one takes. So our thoughts are with you,
Next
Kevin.
season, he's going to look so much better.
That's right. Yeah, if you're filming it by drone. We have a dear friend in set and in studio, Mr. John Jones. Thank you for doing this. You are a friend of not just Gretchen and I, but a friend of the show and the community, and also the only person willing to do this.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Let us thank you in a proper way. You've been a guest before, but you're a dear friend, and we are hoping that you provide what I would describe as a lacking amount of polish here and to some degree professional,ism. So
Definitely style with the bow tie today.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm giving you a preview of Kevin Mullen next show.
That's right.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So for those people who might be listening or watching that or have been underneath a rock, Mr. Jones, give us a quick bio as to who you are and what you're all about.
So John Jones has already said that, just in case people didn't hear it.
Not the MMA fighter.
Not the MMA fighter. John C. Jones, which is why I use
but you're training.
the middle initial. I'm working on it.
Are you going to be at the White House lawn on the anniversary?
I will not.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be adjacent.
I'll be right outside the fence.
That's right.
So been in Toledo my whole life, born and raised,
Yep.
and fortunately at this season of my life had the opportunity to lead an organization called Hope Toledo. Hope Toledo focuses on early childhood education, education in general, have served in a myriad of capacities. And then I'm also, which I think is to me most important, I'm a minister. So I serve with my dad at my church as an associate minister. And I'm real thrilled to be able to do work in community because I get to hang out with people like you guys and do that. Well, so married, 4 kids, all of that good stuff. My last one's a senior in high school. So
God bless.
Your last one's a senior?
The last one's a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So he's the last.
He's only 9, but they moved him up to get him out of the house.
We push really fast. Like we're close to empty nesters. Let's go, kid. Get out here.
John, without Kevin and Gretchen's been busy, the communications of the show has fallen on my shoulders, which is a real strength of mine. So you may or not be aware, we have a mystery guest in studio already. They are my mystery guests, so I am to some degree also ill-prepared. But I do want to give you some clues as to who this person may or may not be. And I'd also encourage you not to look onto the couch, which is clearly in your view shed.
Yeah.
All right? So this individual, is an X chromosome.
That means woman.
They are.
I needed that help.
They attended the University of Michigan. And they have worn a couple hats, but all the hats have been about, in my words, critical thinking, futuristic thinking, an entrepreneurial spirit. They are currently a CEO of a company out of Wood County. And this company, in some degree, can be described as heliocentric. So those are your clues.
I don't know what helio is.
I don't.
Use your phone.
Does she manufacture helium?
I knew
That's exactly right. They're a balloon. They own the balloon
it's a hot air
city.
balloon company.
It's a hot air.
Party City. Oh, John, that would have been a better guest. God bless it.
The balloon manager at Party City would be a good guest.
We've only got 30 seconds left before the grand reveal. We are off and running again without Kevin, who is the anchor and only professional that holds the airwaves here. So bear with me, Matt Killam. I'll be your leader for another episode of 419. Of course, brought to you by Wethrow Wealth Management. But the proud partners of WGTE are making sure this comes into your ears and into your living rooms and into your car. So thank you, WGTE.
Support for the 419 comes from Wethrow Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at WetroAdvisors.com.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you. Thank you.
Welcome back to the 419. We have a couple of guests in studio. John Jones, of course, is helping us steer the ship here and is desperately needed in the absence of one Kellen Mullen, who, of course, is having something removed from his lower extremities. So we hope they get it out this time. Our thoughts are with you, Kevin, and your family, and the object, candidly.
And the
Who knows? Who
And
knew
the
you were not
object.
supposed to swallow those things?
Yeah.
Kevin, you're a brave man, and I cannot wait for the
We're with you.
Netflix
We're
documentary
pulling for you.
in your honor.
Yeah.
Right.
The reveal is
direction
out.
that it's going.
Okay, great, Molly. Already talking. Molly Reams Thompson
Molly Reams Thompson.
Molly Reams Thompson
is our
outstanding.
celebrity mystery guest. Also, one of the rare hyphenated guests we've had here. So thank you for that bravery. Molly, provide some context for my clues. CEO should be obvious to most, but you've started a company here, and I think company sort of understates the value and the multitudes. But talk to me about Elevated Energy in the second segment. But give me a little bit of background as to who you are and what the area means to you.
Third generation Toledoan, born and raised here. Love Toledo, love to see the kind of arc of where it's going from a storytelling perspective. I've been in like, if you look at my background, that's a lot. I've been in many industries, but if you look at the through line, it's entrepreneurship.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, and obviously the show isn't live, so we can already cut out that I thought your name was Reginald.
Hyphenated?
Reginald.
Oh, Reginald.
But that's okay, we fixed that. But you have a particular connection to WGTE.
Oh, so way back in the day, they did, what was the name of the auction that they did every year? And my dad was one of the people who did the, not the auction, it was the what?
The phone.
Telethon.
Telethon, yeah.
Yes.
Molly, is there anything else about your history we'd like to teach? You want us to teach you? Yeah.
Yes. One of the first times I ever met Dave Gerke, he declared to me, "Your granddaddy put my granddaddy in the slammer."
Oh, wow. That right
The amount
there.
of people that Dave Gerke said that to, though,
That's
is
low bar.
Dozens.
Low bar.
That's a lot of people.
The Purple Gang.
Oh, yeah.
My grandfather was the one who put Yanni Licavoli in the slammer.
You're kidding me.
So let's talk about the family history a little bit, because Reams is the operative phrase here. Your mother is Susan Reams, but Fraser Reams and was a prominent lawyer, if I'm not mistaken. And so talk a little bit about those prior generations and their contributions.
This is where I'm like, and
Yes,
then there's
I
an
know.
entrepreneur.
Right. I mean, obviously you're much less important than them.
I know. Mayor Wade was kind enough to tell me that.
Okay, good. He's generous.
You know,
Yeah.
it's all right.
Yeah.
All good. My grandfather was a U.S. congressman. My dad, very thankfully, I think there was a race in the maybe early 2000s. So he is now someone who ran for governor and lost by the second worst landslide. So that was good.
Yeah.
Right.
He ran for governor in '66. He was a state senator for a long time. And then he realized he didn't want to be in politics. So he started a radio station. And on Christmas
As
Eve.
you do.
As you
Right.
do.
Just start one.
Right.
You know. So on Christmas Eve, 1972, 12 hours of Handel's Messiah, and at midnight, rock and roll all the way. And that's how WIOT was started.
Wow.
So, and it does not stand for Wally Iatt. I've had this argument so many times over the years. It is not. My dad wanted something that rhymed with riot, but you had to have W as the call
the front
letter.
of it.
That is, now you know the whole truth
Okay,
about
interesting.
that. I know.
John, if you had to have your own radio program, what would it be called?
It would have to be called Choose Wisely.
Choose wisely.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
Yeah,
Choose Wisely
absolutely.
with John Jones.
Which,
It would
of
have
course,
to be called
Yeah.
Choose Wisely.
which I haven't.
Right.
Nor are you today by being here, but that's
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I want to know, Molly, with all that history, and you chose the path of entrepreneurship, what drove you down that path?
Oh, that's so. There's only so many times before when you get fired when you realize I really am
gotta start my own
unemployable. So funny enough, I'm on I think Elevated Energy is my 11th company, but it's some of them were like crashed and burned in spectacular form. Some of them just were like, no, this isn't it. I don't really have my heart in this. And this one is really the result of, oh my gosh, we have something here. And if we're going to start expanding beyond Perrysburg, so Perrysburg Energy is kind of the original company name. But when you go outside of Toledo, it's like Perrysburg.
Energy.
Perrysburg.
Are you still in litigation? Perrysburg Energy was a well-known dance troupe that I started. It was just a friend of mine. And
I was like,
You guys
what?
leave it at the mediation table.
That's
All
sorry,
right.
yeah. I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about, but I'll tell you what. I didn't bedazzle my jumpsuit for nothing.
That was on
And we
you.
brought Perrysburg Energy before I think even the sun existed.
If you need to bedazzle your costume to show energy, that's a dancing problem.
That's a structural problem,
We
as
did
we
change
say
the
in
name
the
from
industry.
Dancing Problem to Perrysburg Energy.
That's right.
Dancing problem.
Yeah.
And it was Dance Machine.
Structural litigation to Perrysburg Energy. It happens more than you think.
Right. All the time.
Molly, please keep going. I apologize. Right.
I have no idea where I was. But
So you
moving on.
changed the name.
Energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Elevate Energy. Yeah.
So my first entrepreneurial venture was Super Bowl Sunday of 2000. Some girlfriends and I were sitting around at a table, and we were talking about like what would it look like if we could really shift our lives and become different, higher, better versions of ourselves. And so that first company was called I Am Diva Inc. And we wrote a book, got published by one of the then major authors. And it was like, this is really cool. Like we get to chart the course of where we say we want to be headed. And it was published in 5 languages.
Wow.
What was your least favorite language it was published in?
I think it was Croatian.
Sure.
Yes.
We don't have a big Croatian crowd, so you can speak freely about it.
Yes, if I could, I would.
Yeah, that's right.
So what happened after the book?
So we actually, one of the co-authors and I started a TV pilot called The Diva Report, but then we just got busy in life. Life got super lifey, and then we ended up as it does.
Right.
But so then we moved back to Ohio, and as you do, and my husband started working in solar and loved it. That's what he really wanted to be doing.
Give us a date on that. It got into solar. I think that's probably a more common vernacular, certainly now, thank goodness. But
Then helioscopic, because I had to look that one up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Heliocentric. Sorry.
Heliocentric.
Yeah.
Helioscope is what we do.
Yes.
Right.
There you go.
Well, talk to me about, but he got involved in this. What year are we referencing?
So 2008-ish. We moved back here in 2009.
That's still relatively new, certainly for this
Yeah.
area to be hitting that horizon,
Yep.
is it not?
Yeah, so it was, but there were, the parking lot at the Toledo Museum of Art.
Oh, yeah.
That was his. He went to then CFO Carol Benz and said,
Sure.
I have this idea. I think you should put solar in your parking lot. She said, well, we've been looking at redoing it. And so he led the charge on that. And there were a lot of other companies involved in that. So.
As an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, I should say, and I certainly think that that's positive. There's been a litany of books about, I think probably one of the most popular books of all time that isn't found in the drawer of a hotel room is The 7 Habits of Successful People. At the risk of asking you to sort of bridge that conceptually, an entrepreneur, the makeup of that individual, what is the top of the pyramid of traits you must have to be a successful entrepreneur or leader in that space?
Unemployable, obviously.
Oh, yes,
And Jen,
unemployable.
I'm interested in yours after Molly, if you don't mind.
Unemployable. So I think there are, so mine is for sure futuristic,
Okay.
but not all entrepreneurs are futuristically
Certainly.
minded.
Yeah.
So I think
Widgets have to be made as well, and there's a value to that. I get that.
Yeah, but I think nonlinear is a very big component of it because I don't think in, like we've always done it this way, here's the process. I desperately need to have process in what we're doing, but I cannot be like, okay, first we do this and then we do this. That's not how we come up with projects that are, changing the game of how community impact works.
Sure.
Or doing the projects like we're doing, which is taking a solar array and then combining it with community impact.
Sure.
So
That's John. I think that these two will mirror one another, but entrepreneur and a community leader might seem juxtaposed to others, but they're not in many ways, right? So, if you don't mind, I'd like to put the same question on your lap. When you think of both the duality of what Molly made mention of and your role as a civic leader, those are my words. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. But what are the traits that people, and you don't have to flatter yourself, I know that you're humble, but if you were to design a civic leader in a lab, what would the traits be?
So what Molly just shared, I think, is critical, right? Because to be nonlinear thinking
Yes.
is critical because you've got to be able to move here, here, here.
Yeah.
Even as we've seen stuff happen within our community. But then I also think you've got to begin thinking about where do you want to be.
That's right.
Right?
Well
so
said.
whatever that end is, you've got to start thinking about that at the very beginning. And most of those folks who become some of the best community leaders that you find have already thought about what that end state looks like.
Sure.
And how do they want to get there? Now, they're not going to go a straight path,
Yeah.
which is where the nonlinear thinking comes
Right.
in, which I love that. But you've got to be able to have, where am I really trying to go? Because the pivots are going to happen, and you can't let the pivots stop you from the end goal.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I'm going to put both of you on the spot here, and I'll go to John first. One of the pivots, well articulated and diplomatic, as I know you to be, in the non-linear fashion, futuristic does eventually have to hit paper and then hit others.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the people math, right? We're talking about not just selling widgets, right, which
Yep.
does have an intrinsic value. The bottom line of things needs to close people and get people's jobs. But you have to inspire, right? You have to sell these conceptually, even if it is something of the public good. You are still constantly selling.
You have to sell.
Well, John,
Yep.
if you, again, potentially put you on the spot, and Gretchen, you are a leader, certainly in your own right, so I by no means want to take the microphone or microwave, depending on what, when our breakfast burritos are coming out here. WGTE's concierge program and continental breakfast has fallen off since the cuts.
It's the budget
No,
cuts.
it's the budget cut.
Yeah.
I
Does
was
that
looking
do with
forward to
Kevin's
that.
procedure?
Yes, we've had him killed. Daniel Tiger Malden. We had to feed Kevin to Daniel Tiger. You heard it here first. But down the road here, talk to me about inspiring people, even sometimes on their own behalf.
Absolutely. If that piece of being able to inspire folks is probably the most difficult,
Certainly.
the most critical, and the most long-term impactful. Because
sir.
people have to be able to see, I can get to where we're trying to go. So you have to convince people that this is it. So when I listen to Molly talk, so to say, hey, what are you thinking about Art Museum with your parking lot?
That's right.
You're going to convince them that they want to put a solar field or a solar array, I'll say,
Yep.
in the middle of your parking lot.
Right.
Right. And so you've got to convince people.
That's right.
Of what it is they got to do.
Gretchen?
I think it's about just being a yes and go person.
I love it.
Like you can't to be an entrepreneur, to have that mindset in the face of, I don't know, just making this up at the top of my head, city council or any city, any government doesn't have necessarily have to be Toledo City Council, but in the face of all the things that you have to do to get something done, you have to be a person that says, yes, I'm going to figure it out. This is the thing. Believe in it and be positive about it.
So there are, this fresh in my mind you're always going to come across obstacles. It is part of the thing. But I look
I'm
at it
looking at three
as,
of them.
but yes, well, it's okay. It's all good. It's all
Probably
good.
in the way.
So I look at obstacles as the raw opportunity. If I can break it down into like the raw elements of what is it about that obstacle that's currently blocking my way, and who are the people, tools, and resources to help me get to that next level. And I know that I'm willing to take a risk big enough that it's going to pay off. I know that in some cases, I may be the only vision keeper, but to your point,
Like Vision Keeper.
who else can I have join the bandwagon? Who else do I think is already going to be a yes to this?
Yes.
Because there's always going to be the no's.
Absolutely.
As we encountered recently on one of our projects.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I had no doubt. And I have to look at it like I'm way more committed to the bigger future of the project, of the community, and to where we're headed than I am to getting stuck in the middle by some obstacle. So there has to be another way around it, and I will find it.
We've got about a minute and 30 seconds, and this is a good question, I think, to potentially close with. Something that you all didn't speak to directly, but certainly circled around thematically. You have to be prepared for failure, right? You mentioned tongue-in-cheek to some degree, 11 other things before it. Some of them were successful. It was just time for you to move on, right? Those are my words. But you have to be able to shoulder failure, right? And it isn't a close-up shop necessarily. It's step back, assess, and regroup. It takes some intestinal fortitude, of course, to be able to do that. That's why I've never been described or confused with a leader. But Molly, if you don't mind, I'd like to close out with your thoughts on that, because you have to push and have to be okay with a no. and then have to recenter yourself. So talk to me a little bit about failure and why it's part of the process.
Failure is the, it's so funny. People describe failure
we'll
like
tell you if it's funny or not.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks for that. Failure is often described as something to be afraid of, something that is hard, something that is difficult. But I guess it depends what your perspective is. Because if you're going to let failure be the thing that stops you, entrepreneurship is probably not the right pathway.
That's right.
If failure is like, I get it, that's just part of the deal. Like a failure is, well, it took us one more, month than we thought it was going to get this project moving forward. It's not a failure, it's a lesson learned.
That's right.
So the part of the stepping stone of getting to, companies 10 and 11 is, I think we can make this better. Let's do it better this time. Let's change this. And so failure becomes something I run towards as a way to learn and grow, and constantly committed to growing and learning, but it is with that 100% commitment to make things better.
That's right.
How do I make the community better and all of that?
Molly, that's a great close to the first segment. We're talking to Molly Reams-Thompson. Of course, we have our beloved friend John Jones in studio helping steward Gretchen and I through our episode without Kevin. We'll be back with WGTE in the 419. Thanks for listening and watching.
To me, community means connecting to others.
I'm Donnie Miller, and welcome to The Point.
We're a community committed to education. Discover new ideas, dive into exciting subjects, and engage with the world around you.
I would send them personally a t-shirt. Crime doesn't pay in the Old West End. Pass it on. That's how we cleaned up the neighborhood.
Vision loss for people is not the end.
It's a story. It's the next chapter.
WGTE Public Media invites you to Get Out and Play Day.
The 419 at 7 a.m. on YouTube, 3 p.m. on FM 91, and 6 p.m. on WGTE Connects. It's the 419 powered by WGTE.
WGTE, where you come to watch, listen, and learn.
Welcome back to the 419, of course, brought to you by Witro Wealth Management and powered by our dear friends of the WGTE. We've got really two guests in studio. We are led, of course, by Gretchen, who's informed me to not pound the table, and I won't be
The audience
stopped.
has asked. They've sent an email in.
They've asked, but one thing to stop, and it wasn't my pounding on the table. It is the honey coming from your voice. Gretchen and I usually sit together.
Honey.
Yeah, that is.
Us being separated has only caused a larger crevice
We feel so
between our
apart.
friendship.
Yeah. John, thanks for being here.
I'm in the middle.
John, we are thrilled to have you here, buddy. And all number.
It's no mistake you're in the middle.
It is no mistake. It's no mistake.
Molly, we are closing out a little bit about entrepreneurship, but I think a bit about the personal traits it takes to be a said person. But I want to lean a little bit more into.
Do you say a sad person or said person?
Both.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is actually intervention. That's why we're sitting in a semicircle. Yeah, your whole family's outside. Yeah, it's a safe place.
Right.
We do, whenever we have friends on, we are quick to lean into talking to one another like we're around a kitchen table, which of course does fuel my soul. But for the listeners, I want to back up just a little bit, talk about your mom specifically, if you don't mind, and then roll into a myriad of projects that I know you're really proud of. But Gretchen, I know this is something that's important to you. Public art is a part of your life on a volunteer basis, so you dedicate the few hours that you have outside of this studio as well as your law practice to making sure that people have access to something that makes certainly in light of last weekend's events, something that we can be proud of and shine around.
Yeah, and Susan Reams really was the leader in that whole thing. She started the public art in Toledo. She got us the 1% for the arts back in 1970s something. So tell us a little bit about your mom. She's still around. She's still amazing today.
Spirit Lake, Iowa. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, she's around. If I tell you her age, I will be grounded yet again.
Yep.
I'll just tell you, she's been working actively, avidly in public art since 1968, maybe. A long time.
60 years.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a really long time. She started the 1% for Art program in Toledo. She then went to the state level and took it to the state-funded program where 1% of capital budgets go to fund public art.
Well, she's a very entrepreneurial woman, and she's a dogged advocate, which is how I would also describe you. So obviously you have a lot of her traits. Let's talk about the most recent thing you have going on.
Just a second. John, you live in your family's home, correct?
I did. I just moved recently.
Gotcha.
But yes.
I guess to both that you're both very proud of where you've come from too, 100%. But that is also a little bit of a burden is my words. I don't mean that obviously in the negative sense, but picking up the torch. Oh, aren't you such and such's son and or daughter?
Yep.
That we're not on we're not on a therapist couch here, and it's certainly things to be proud of. But talk to us a little bit about paving your own way, because it isn't easy. So in no particular order, John, do you mind starting?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to be able to do it. What I've embraced over time is how great it is to be able to do it. So my grandmother, so when you talk about your mom, my grandmother in the mid-60s was doing teaching, Bible teaching. She was first pastor of our church. I call her the tip of the spear, right? She was doing stuff that folks weren't doing back then. And so sometimes it could feel like a burden, but then once you realize, hey, your dad's doing this in community, he's a pastor, leading in community, doing all these different things. And then the biggest compliment is when people look at me and think I'm a junior. So my dad's name is Charles. I'm John. But when they think I'm a junior because they think, oh, well, you got to be doing what your dad's doing. And you know him, and they just automatically think that because they know him as Pastor Jones.
But the pastor's kid and grandkid is always the worst kid on the street.
That's what they typically say. That's what they typically say. So we won't talk about where the skeletons are buried.
Okay, we won't.
But what we will say is that
why you had to move house?
Burden that is, but the burden isn't as bad as what people think it is. It's how you embrace it. And then continue to be able to talk about it.
But you have to have the intestinal fortitude to be able to embrace it and move forward. Molly, you?
That took. It's been a big evolution for me to really come into my own and say, this is the path I'm headed on. I have a high level of confidence about who I am, but especially moving back here as an adult. It is, it's very different. So it's like, oh, you're
so you haven't moved back officially yet. Waiting for the adulthood to sink in.
Why rush it? I mean,
that's right.
You don't need to rush that train there. But both of my parents were well-known and big community advocates.
Yes.
So then people are just, I don't know if dismissive is the right word, but it is. There is a little bit of that, and it's like, well, you're no Susan and Fraser Reams. You're right.
You're right.
I am not, and it took me a little. It was a process to kind of work through and say, I don't want to go this path. I don't want to go that path. I want to forge my own path, and I have to figure out what that is. And now I have, and away we go. And it is, once you are willing to say, I can do this, I have everything I need. I'm stopping looking out there and stop looking for some ideal that doesn't exist. I'm going to create what that is for me because I trust who I am and I know I have some great ideas, and now we're seeing them come to life, and it's pretty great.
It's a good segue into Elevate Energy. Talk to me about the first project and potentially the moment, although all entrepreneurs have the same answer to this in my experience, they're like, we don't know that we've made it yet.
An overnight success over the course of 10 or 15 years.
That's right. Talk to me about a first project and some of the highlights that you're working on currently.
Well, the first project it actually came through Perrysburg Energy is the Glass City Riverwall, which I've decided we're going to be calling it the Molly R. Thompson Glass City Riverwall because my mom has a plaza named after her. So
so you have to follow suit.
I got to do something, right?
Sounds like you're really working on that chip.
Yes. I mean. So among friends, here we are.
That's right.
So that one was the transition from, we started we did a little bit of solar, we started in commercial LED lighting. And when I started working full time with the company, I was like, we do so much that's different. Like, how do we bring that to the surface so that we're not just competing against everybody else who's doing the same thing? Because that's a zero-sum game, and you can't get further ahead on that. And I knew that we always looked at things different. We always approached a project with what's the impact we can make for our customer then. And now when I look at our clients, all of them are, they have a big mission. So every project that we take on is focused on that mission. It's a very different way for any contractor to orient themselves is, how can we help you achieve your mission? And everything we measure about this project is going to help you connect back to that mission. So that's the focus of our company.
We talk about equity and inclusion with some regularity now, thank goodness. But to some degree, the color of equity and inclusion is green. Talk to me a little bit about, you're talking about focusing back on the mission, and by no means does this soften the weight of that, but these institutions need money to function. So what you're proposing here to every one of them helps fuel, no pun intended, the mission. I know you just said it, but bring that all the way home for us to make sure our listeners understand.
Well, so first of all, as a woman who's been in tech industries and all of that,
right. You have to tell me I've lived it. I mean, tech.
Like looking in the mirror.
But
it's like looking at a real dumb mirror.
Yeah, a mirror that doesn't quite work.
Yeah,
it's been interesting to be in industries where at one point I've had people say, "I'm sorry, I don't value your opinion." I was told that at a meeting.
And why did Gretchen say that to you?
I didn't mean it.
And I was one of only 2 women in the room, and I had other people, and this was in Toledo. So
did you tell them that you were a diva? Because that might have changed their mind.
Yeah, should have given you your book.
Yes, that was at the point where I wasn't where I am now, because I would have a few things to say.
I bet you would.
I may or may not need to bring John with me.
Right.
Or Gretchen,
right.
The legal, the counseling, all of that. But so I do see some evolution there of that it comes in many forms. Like, how do we level the playing field and make this available? Part of it is you got to have entrepreneurs at the table to make that happen.
To accept it.
Right, because if you have the same people who've always done the same things, you can't expect to then do things different and take things forward in a different way.
One of the neighborhoods and some of the people that are doing some of the most innovative work as it relates to housing and energy and neighborhood and streetscapes and art is the Historic South.
Yes.
And so this program that you just got approved is a partnership with them.
Yes. So, and by the way, I did hijack your question, so I apologize for that.
Quite all right.
I'm pretty good at that. And I can come back to that. It's all related to this.
Certainly.
We just got the special use permit passed, which was not without challenges, as it just happens.
That's right.
That's part of the deal, right? But we had a bigger commitment. So part of what we do, and this gets back to what you said before, is every organization, every nonprofit in the Historic South supported this project. So we talked to all of them. We knew that. We got letters of support. We got letters of support from Marcy Captor, from Anita Lopez. And then we talked to almost every city council member. And that is how you generate community support. You talk to all the people who are a yes, because in any community, you will always have the people who are a no. Just check the comments page of anything and you'll see it, right? But you go find the people who are a yes. That's how you get people on board. That's where you inspire people to want to move forward with the project. So this Historic South project is about 1.5 megawatts. It's a pretty sizable project, but what we did that's different is that...
megawatts for those who have not watched Back to the Future. Bring that home for us a little bit. Yeah, if you could educate us. A megawatt, can you provide some context to this?
Yeah, so the size of this parcel, it's a city-owned parcel. The size of that piece of land is 15 acres. So this will take up about a third of it, so 4.5 acres. It's, I think it depends what panels we use, but probably around 3,000-ish solar panels.
Okay.
And they're going to be on the ground, so it's going to be ground mounted. So you can't, it doesn't obstruct the view of the river, and that's by design.
Yeah.
So it is designed to be low impact.
The energy it produces, provide some context for that.
So the energy it produces is intended to fuel something, but because there's no building there, we're going to use it for a different purpose.
Excellent.
So we're going to be giving it or selling it to another entity. And then the proceeds of that, 100% of it goes back to support Historic South Initiative. So what that looks like is, sorry, it's like sometimes it takes me a while to get there.
No, this is bringing it home, and
I'll eventually get there. But so what that looks like is there's like 25% vacancy rate. There are homes that are needing repairs that people cannot afford to make.
That's right.
So they can apply for a grant, and the funds will help pay for that. So we're taking something that is a cool project, and we're turning it into a 25-year cash flowing asset for the Historic South Initiative for that community, for the Old South End.
Is this something that can be duplicated in Junction and in North?
This is what we do in every single project. So we would take it and find it in whatever the neighborhood, whatever the project is, and we would help figure out what's the mission and how do we do this. So that's what we do as a company.
Molly, we're going to transition from that. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, very good.
Like you said, it wasn't a seamless track, but nothing that is worthwhile comes easy, as they say.
And by the way, the other part of the project that wasn't part of the SUP is we're providing a solar array for Seagate Food Bank.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So it'll offset their energy so they can spend more time focusing on making sure people get the food they need in the community.
Before we get to the quiz, can these fields, solar fields, be in brownfields? Can they be in green spaces? They can be they can be basically placed anywhere.
Yes, I mean a brownfield is a little bit trickier because you may have to do some remediation. But yes, they're. I don't want to use the word versatile, but I will. I just did. Yeah. Right. So yes, they are. They're like I noticed a nice green space out here outside the WGTE building. That would be
soon
a
to be
great
a library.
location.
Soon to be a library. All right, time for the 419 quiz. Without Kevin, we don't have to say Gretchen's Wacky Quiz, so you get
Gretchen's
a reprieve.
Wacky Quiz.
John, we'll carry the freight here for you. Do not feel pressure to plug in, and it's goofy, and you are not, so bear with us.
He's goofy.
All right, Molly, here we go. Ready for 4 rapid-fire questions.
Okay.
If you created your own country, what would it be called?
Killamopolis.
There you go.
Nice.
What is one thing we don't know about you? Your social security number and your mother's maiden name? Do you want to say
I was in the training program in Los Angeles to become an LA deputy sheriff.
I did not know that about you. Are you left-handed or right-handed? That's pretty transactional.
Yes, I am.
Done. What is your most used emoji?
Purple heart.
All right. John, what's your most used emoji? Thumbs up. My man. All right.
Middle finger. Oh, wait.
Tell us one word.
got it offended.
What is the one word you would use to describe the city of Toledo or the region?
Home.
Okay, and then we need 9. Get it? 419. So 419.
I guess.
What are the 9?
I'm blonde, but I picked up.
Well, you know.
Got it.
What are your 9 favorite things? What you would describe as your favorite things about the city of Toledo or the region?
Well, number 1, the Susan R. Reams Plaza.
I love it.
At Glass City Center.
Okay.
Come on. Number 2, WIOT.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. Got to go fast.
Number 3, Glass City River Wall, soon to be lighted.
Okay.
Number 4, Metro Parks.
Thank you.
Number 5.
Free.
Give her 2 for that.
Oh, I get 2? All right.
And we're running out of
Number storytelling.
Okay.
Let's see. Well, I mean, the museum.
Yep. Husband and kids, maybe?
Oh.
Done.
Them?
Husband
Yes,
and kids.
okay.
All right, we're going to close out our segment here. Molly, thank you for not caring for your family out loud.
Toledo School for the Arts.
We'll be closing
Okay, got
our
it.
segment with
TSA.
Mike Vanderpool. Quiet down, people. Mike Vanderpool on shortly. Molly, thank you for joining us, our secret guest.
Thank you, surprise guest, Molly.
And we'll be back for
Thank
the
you. Very
419.
fun.
Outstanding.
Support for the 419 comes from WeTro Wealth Management, where we understand that your financial path is personal. Advisory services are offered through Capital Investment Advisory Services, LLC. Securities offered through Capital Investment Group, Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. More information at WeTroAdvisors.com.
Destination Toledo. Whether you're a local or a visitor, Destination Toledo invites you to explore the region and be a tourist in Toledo. Find events, dining, and things to do at visittoledo.org.
WorkSpring. HR issues and employee well-being go hand in hand. WorkSpring supports employers through compliance, training, and wellness because healthy workplaces don't happen by accidents. Learn more at workspring.org.
Toledo Refining Company, a subsidiary of PDF Energy. Toledo Refining Company is a supplier of fuels that keep our region moving. Located in Oregon, Ohio, the refinery processes crude oil into gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, and other petroleum products.
And TARTA, celebrating its 55th year of connecting Northwest Ohioans to their community. More information at tarta.com.
Welcome back to the 419. It is rudderless without our friend Kevin. Again, he's having his wood teeth removed and hopefully real ones put in. So good luck to you, Kevin. We just had Molly Reams-Thompson in. I hope you enjoyed that segment. She's doing some wonderful things. We have a dear friend, John, in studio who is sitting co-pilot, providing some guidance, both spiritually and mentally for my dear friend Gretchen and I. But we've got a great closeout segment here. Mike Vanderpool. Mike, I've done a tremendous amount of research, as I always do for these shows. Am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Mike.
It depends what side of the Miami you're from.
Yeah. Mike, you do a litany of things, every which one you do well, and I'm interested in. But if you don't mind articulating your own bio, when asked, Mike, who are you and what do you do? How do you describe yourself?
It depends who's asking the question.
It's the sheriff's department. It's the sheriff's department asking.
Yeah, the sheriff's department. Well, you see.
Don't talk to them.
Yes, exactly.
On the advice of counsel. Yeah.
But please, Mike, you do a lot of really important things. So tell me, no, these are my words and they're true. So you can put the humble hat down. So what are you about?
So I'm full-time. Real job is Defiance College. I'm faculty there. I teach graphic design.
That's right.
Design, visual communication, kind of weaving a whole bunch of cool stuff.
How long have you been doing that? How long have you been in education, Mike?
I mean, since kindergarten.
Yeah.
Realistic. I like it. That's good.
Mike, don't take the jokes from me. It's all I have.
So long story short, right? Went to private K through 8, right? Trinity Lutheran in Monroe. Go Monroe.
Yeah. Monroe.
Catholic Central for 3 years.
Sure.
Monroe High for a year. Monroe County Community College for 8 years. Took me 8 years to kind of figure out what I was actually going to do with my life.
Sure. When did you stop being a doctor, Mike?
You saw my handwriting.
Yeah.
And then after that, I did Oakland University up in Michigan.
Sure.
Got a bachelor's in English. Walked the earth for a while. Did some business stuff down in Florida. Ended up back here, not knowing exactly what to do, and ended up at Bowling Green State University. I have a master's in learning design. What is it? The sum. My diploma is a scroll, right?
Yeah.
And after that, started teaching.
Yeah.
At Northwest State Community College. Did that for 7 years and I've been Defiance. This will be going into year 3.
Mike, what makes you a good teacher?
I love to learn.
Yeah.
That's a lie. I love being the center of attention.
Yeah,
That's really what it is, right?
That doesn't offend the three of us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but really, because I actually did some introspection and thinking about that, and it really is because every class is an opportunity to learn about the students and what they need. Obviously, the field of design, and I also do work in the technology space that's always changing. So I'm always learning, and I love to learn.
When I was young, I wanted to be a teacher so I could do the bulletin boards.
Nice.
Yeah, sure.
That was literally the only reason I wanted to decorate the bulletin boards.
Yeah. The best door.
Yeah, that's right.
What about the future of you teaching people graphic design? I don't know what the methodology is, but where we're going, you see all of this AI garbage on social media and stuff now with flyers and things. What is the thinking? What are the students thinking about how this is going to go?
Flyers?
You know, yeah, they say flyers.
No. Gretchen,
it's a fascinating place to be in right now because with my background in instructional design, that's what that BG degree was, and my experience as a teacher, and then also my 10 to 15 years in technology instruction, right? They're all kind of coming together right now. So it's just an amazing time to be an educator, and one of the biggest concerns that I have is that what's being put out there right now, that AI is taking jobs, which it is, just like every other technology before it. These kids don't know that because we're not teaching the history of technology. They have no clue what's even inside of a computer.
I always say this.
Born with the phone, right?
Because a phone is a computer.
Right.
I always say this, that still photography was considered the dawn of the apocalypse for painters, right? It birthed the Impressionist movement. So I don't want to dismiss the fact that, to your good point, Mike, jobs will be eliminated, right? But it does create more jobs and create
jobs will evolve and change.
That's exactly right.
So
continue that path.
Yeah, because if we look at just every technology that's come out that's made it easier to do things, whether it was the digital camera, right? Back in the day, you wanted to make a movie, you needed $100,000 or some pretty cool friends, right? Now you can break out your phone and make it happen. Yeah. So what does that mean for us in the space is that it's everything will continue to always evolve, right? Everything will continue to be cheaper and easier. What does that mean? We get more because it's easier to make. Yeah. So what does that mean? Look at LinkedIn, right? I'm on it every once in a while. You see the same pictures of the same people in their little plastic toy things, and it's all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. But for us that are doing marketing, trying to tell our stories and stand out, what do you have to do?
Innovate.
Well, you have to stand out, right? You have to break out of
something different.
You can't just go into ChatGPT and say, hey, give me this.
Absolutely.
And who are going to be the people that take what AI will start you with and turn it into something more powerful, more effective? It's going to be somebody who understands the discipline of graphic design, of visual communication.
Have you incorporated teaching AI tools into your classes now?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. How do you get students to lean into that more from the perspective of not just creating some caricature, but thinking about this is the future of what I'm going to be able to do. So I don't view it as you're going to lose a job, even though some jobs will be, quote, lost, but I don't like to look at it that way. How do you lean in and make this a job, right?
So my background is all over the place. I've been in the automotive industry out of high school, after a summer crushing beer cans. And that was a real job. That just wasn't what I did on the weekends.
Crushing.
You didn't say you drank them, right?
Yeah,
right,
exactly. In the mortgage industry, hospitality industry, I've been a lot of things, right? And been in a lot of spaces. Every single space I've ever been in, what we need are creative problem solvers. I don't care what happens in the world, there's always going to be problems, because everything that comes out that solves a problem reveals another one, right? So focusing on what does it mean to be a creative problem solver, it means having a process for solving problems. So when I teach a class, lead a class, introduce a class, being open and honest, right? Yes, AI is going to have a huge impact, but you are going to have to understand how this tool can work. It's a tool that's in your tool chest. It's not the tool you're going to use every time. And reinforcing over and over and over again, I don't give a rip about what's coming out on the back end. Oh, that was really, really hard. I'm passionate about this stuff.
Yeah.
You did really good.
Yeah, we
on the
know.
back end of this, because you have this final product that, ooh, look at this. Who gives a rip, right? I need to know that you can talk through and walk through the process of how you made something happen, because when you sit down for an interview, that's the story you have to be able to tell. 100%. When you stand up trying to get money from somebody for a project,
it's a life skill.
And
Mike, I don't mean to put you on the spot here. This is a complex question, and that isn't obviously.
7.
Okay, next question. No, and again, I'm teeing it up as a complex question, not to be condescending, but we are certainly experiencing a larger and larger gap between the haves and have-nots. So one of the only concerns I have broadly about AI is it's going to expand that gap. So 100%. You're an ideal person to talk a little bit about the education of this, but I do have some concerns, not about us not being able to master a tool to provide a better life for all people, and also use it, again, as said tool to solve problems that we know now and problems that we don't know we have. But I am concerned a little bit about access and equity here. Can you talk to me a little bit about how education is the silver bullet for all things? And it seems silly for Matt Killam to say that in your presence, sir, because John, of course, is a leader of education in our community and widely considered one of the best. But the disparity space, access space, one thing about AI is it is the fastest moving technology piece or new thing that we've ever experienced, right? My little anecdote about Impressionists is not the same or apples to apples comparison to this. It is difficult to teach this even at MIT, because when you put together a curriculum like you do every day probably to think about this, am I still serving? Because I know you well enough to know that's how you consider your teaching. But this is moving so fast. How do we keep people safe? How do we keep people included? How do we provide access? And again, that's a really complicated question, but just your thoughts, even from your gut.
Oh man. How much time do we have?
As much as you need to feel comfortable.
So education is broken, 1,000%. Sir Ken Robinson did a TED Talk, 2004, whatever it was, do schools kill creativity? I don't think anything's changed.
That's right.
Now, I'm not in that space, but I talk to enough people in that space, and I see enough of the outputs from at the community college, at BG, at Defiance where I'm at right now. K-12 is broken. It works for some people, but it definitely doesn't work for everybody, and especially the people who need it most. That's no offense to my people in K-12. I know you're doing what the state and everybody tells you to do, and I love what you do because you do a thankless job. And when you do get thanked, it's probably
backhanded.
Something, yeah. So, in all reality, when we talk about do kids need to be able to use AI, 100%. But do we teach them just AI when they don't have the foundation that it's built on?
That's it.
AI is just going to, if I teach you AI and you can make some stuff with AI, cool, it's a Band-Aid for the moment. It's not providing the foundation for you to be able to do and learn anything. Our school systems, honestly, need less tech. Studies are coming out right now, screen time is hurting these kids more than anything else. I mean, we complain about it being on the screens at home.
Do you believe that to be true as well, Mike?
100%.
Okay.
100%. Because here's the thing,
The
right?
studies are 100% in favor of that.
Of getting rid of it?
Yes.
Oh,
Up to like the age 14, I think it is.
Here's the absolute most ridiculous reality of all of education. We have so many studies that tell us a lot of things that we're doing are wrong, and we still keep doing them.
And we still keep doing them.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the climate.
Well, yeah.
That climate that says what's true is false.
It is almost like all of this is evidence that the species that is still self-congratulating about being self-aware is in fact not all that evolved.
Sometimes education is just so freaking stupid.
Sure. Mike, again, I'm not asking for a silver lining here because...
Well, I got one for you.
Yeah, what is it?
A silver lining or a silver bullet?
Silver lining.
Well, both
Either
things,
one.
right? I mean, this is not gloom and doom. Again, on the aftermath of what we see in the newspapers and on television is coming to our backyard. It's a somber time, right? But we haven't given up.
What are we going to do?
That's my question to you.
What are we going to do, right? That's the question. So, K-12, K-8, K-5, no computers. Maybe an hour a week, something like that, right? At that point, I'm going to begin with the end in mind, my good friend Stephen Covey, right?
Ding, ding,
Hi,
ding.
Stephen. Begin with the end in mind. What do we want, right? We want people who are creative problem solvers. The smartest people that I've worked with over my career as curriculum architect, instructional designer, working with subject matter experts who are doing amazing stuff all over the place, is even the people who are the best software developers, data analytics people I've ever met, solve the problem on paper first. And then they use the computer to implement the solution. So what should we be doing in K-5? 2 things: get them paper and have them play games. I think so much of what we probably take for granted, assuming we're all in the same demographic relatively, right, age-wise, is that we spent how much time sitting at a table, waiting your turn, looking at a board, trying to figure out what to do next. That's freaking life.
Yeah.
I mean, there was actually a game called Life, right?
It really was.
Yeah.
And those pieces were delicious.
And so many of those things that we learned at the kitchen table,
period,
don't happen anymore.
And at the kitchen table,
because there's a freaking screen.
Because at the kitchen table, not only were you learning those skills, you were also interacting.
You were talking to
with
your
family
and
so
classmates.
when you go to do presentations and do all the stuff that we say is necessary, now you've got the skill set development from the earliest stages of life. And so people struggle because the other challenge, though, is that if I've got to work 2 jobs, I've got 2 kids, I got this, people have now turned into, this is my babysitter.
1000%. Yeah.
Right? And so that's where this struggle kicks in, which is why it's so important that we can have these conversations, because you seeing it from the lens of an instructional designer and all of those different things, that's so critical to then play it out. But then I always ask the question of where's the equity, where's the access, how do we navigate through this so that communities are not left behind and can utilize the tech to actually make the work and the impact better?
There's money. There's money. It's just not going to the right places.
Sure.
Like education.
And I'm glad you said that.
Yep.
If we were to fully invest in one generation of kids, K through 12, and make sure that every experience and every opportunity to explore things that they're interested in, I don't care if it's after school, I don't care what it is. I just want a kid being engaged and giving a rip about something through K through 8, and they are in a much better position, right? And all of those things that we pay for on the back end with whatever it is, whether it's health, right? Whether it's mental, whether it's jobs,
all of it.
If you invest in a solid foundation, you can put up some rickety sticks and there'll be a shelter, right? You could have a sandy foundation, we'll go back to the Bible, and there it is, you know, this big old beautiful house on the beach. Hurricane comes and it's in the ocean.
It's all over. Yeah, that's perfect.
You're wearing a Rotary shirt, Service Above Self. Tell us a little bit about what that shirt means and how it's related to education.
How much time do we have?
30 seconds.
Sweet. The first time I did community service, My second time I got in trouble and the government told me I had to go do something.
Been there myself.
Was packing boxes for the holiday families. Mm-hmm. My first day at Rotary, service above self, sorry, I had to look at the shirt, was at the Seagate Food Bank. And for me, I was very lucky, very, very lucky. I could have easily been somebody who didn't contribute to society. Mm-hmm. I had wonderful grandparents, I had a good school, everybody prayed a whole lot for me. I had met a wonderful woman who's kept me straight and narrow for the most part. But I have had so much fortune, and that line of becoming somebody who has contributed to society or somebody who is just going to make trouble, like
it's a thin line.
100%. Yeah. And it shouldn't be about being lucky.
Yeah. Mike, that's good, Mike. Unfortunately, we could talk to you. We have to cut you off. We could talk to you all day. Mike Vanderpool, he wears a lot of hats, but the hat I think he put forth most today is an educator and caring about tomorrow. We are going to be closing out our end of the show without Kevin, so pray for us. We'll be back in just a moment.
You laughed with us. You learned with us.
Hi, neighbor.
We made sure your childhood was special. Memories that could only be provided by PBS. For generations, we've given you programs that made a difference. Programs that entertained, informed, and inspired. And today is no different. This is WGTE Public Media in Toledo. It's where you belong.
WGTE Public Media's Educational Services Department provides outstanding programs, services, and resources to enhance learning outcomes for students, educators, and learners of all ages. WGTE's Educational Services Department teaches parents, caregivers, and educators how to utilize educational media, children's literature, and engaging activities to help prepare young children for a happy, healthy, and bright future. From PBS Kids programming specifically designed to support the development and creativity of young children, to individualized lesson plans, standards-aligned curriculum, professional development classes, community events, and family fun movie nights right here at WGTE. Our Educational Services Department shares the tools you need for you and your little ones to feel like you belong. WGTE Public Media, where you belong.
Welcome back to the 419. We're closing out a great segment in a multitude of ways. But I do want to throw it over to my co-hosts. John, thank you so much for coming on. Thoughts or anything that was salient that you experienced here this morning?
Wow, one, thank you. So thank you for letting me be on here. I love y'all's show. I love y'all. So this is good to be here. I think what the through line for me today was, as you think about where you have to go and what you have to do, it's not going to be a linear path. Mm-hmm. And Molly was very, very clear with letting us know that. But you have to think about what the future is going to look like.
Sir.
And what Mike clearly articulated is that where we are, our system that we have, and this is no offense to our K-12 friends that are out here in the world, but the system that we have is broken. Mm-hmm. And if we don't teach our kids how to do the basics, and that's critically think and do those things, they're going to turn into adults that cannot do it.
Got about a minute left, Gretchen.
I think the through line is seeing a future in the face of maybe adversity or 100%. Naysayers, right? Both of these individuals, Mike was so interesting. I'd never met him before today, and of course love Molly, but both of them have creative ideas, creative thinking, creative problem solving, and I'm happy that we were able to talk to both of them.
And now more than ever, we need that with all the stuff going on in our fair city. We need it.
That's a great closeout. Thank you both, as usual, for doing the show. To a guest that certainly inspires us to do more, and it's all about community. If you are a fan of the show, please tune in to WGTE's YouTube channel at 7 a.m., FM 91 at 3 p.m., WGTE Connects 30.4, of course, the world-class WGTE app. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, We Throw Wealth Management. Thank you, WGTE. Thank you, Kevin. We're missing you, and hope you can get back soon, buddy. Talk to you soon.
The 419, powered by WGTE, is made possible in part by supporters like you.